Greetings, esteemed viewers. Welcome back to explore the rapid rise and sudden fall of the Mongol Empire. They forged the greatest empire on Earth, bringing absolute terror and a sudden age of golden peace. Yet no foreign army could bring them down. They collapsed from within, crushed beneath their own massive success. How did these fierce warriors grow so soft, ultimately conquered by the very people they once ruled? Let us uncover how the mighty Khans lost their empire to endless luxury and the deadly plague. By the late 13th century, the Mongol machine conquered a vast realm stretching from Asia to Europe. This domain created the Pax Mongolica, an unprecedented era of unrivaled global peace. Historical records claim a lone merchant could safely carry gold across the entire vast continent. Under the protection of fierce cavalry, the Silk Road became the most lucrative trade network ever. A brilliant postal system, known as the Yam, connected distant regions with astonishing speed and ease. In the splendid capital of Dadu, the great Khan ruled a multicultural ocean of subjects. They introduced paper money to facilitate massive trade, boosting commerce across their vast borders. Persian merchants mingled with European envoys, trading exotic goods in glowing royal courts. Gold, silk, and precious spices flowed freely through the markets, secured by invincible nomadic might. The military administration was flawless, blending discipline with pragmatic foreign policies. They did not just destroy cities, they rebuilt them into thriving economic hubs for global trade. The empire adopted advanced technologies from around the world to maintain their strict control. Even rebellious provinces were kept firmly in line by the constant threat of the Khan's relentless army. During this golden era, cultural exchange flourished, as Eastern and Western ideas truly met. Astronomers, engineers, and artisans served the court, pushing human progress forward rapidly. The Mongol lords sat on mighty thrones, wearing a rich blend of traditional furs and fine silk garments. Genghis Khan's heirs had achieved what no other ruler could, a global union forged in fire and blood. Yet perfect armies hide a dark truth. An empire built on conquest must ultimately stop expanding. When the wars of expansion halted, the fierce warriors settled into a life of absolute comfort. The strict laws of the steppes gradually faded, replaced by the complex politics of elitist states. They had the power to rule the world, but lacked the sheer numbers to supervise every single province. This massive demographic imbalance would soon become the fatal crack in their iron foundation. How can a handful of nomadic riders maintain control over millions of civilized people? To govern effectively, the Khans adopted the ways of the very nations they had recently crushed. The courts of Dadu began to look more like grand Chinese dynasties than simple Mongol war camps. Peace brought prosperity, but also a slow, invisible poison that rotted their warrior spirit. The invincible machine was no longer oiled by sheer conquest, but by luxury and endless greed. The seeds of their destruction were unknowingly planted in the soils of their unrivaled victories. Entering the 14th century, a profound identity crisis struck the Mongol ruling class. The new generation of Khans abandoned the saddle, preferring the cushions of grand imperial halls. Vast gardens and opulent pavilions replaced the harsh, wind-swept plains where their ancestors once hunted. In Persia, Ilkhanate rulers converted to Islam, adopting local customs and rich Persian arts. In China, Yuan emperors wore heavy silk dragon robes, surrounded by sycophantic court officials. This cultural assimilation is called reverse conquest, where the vanquished mentally chain their new masters. The fearsome nomads grew fat and lazy, sipping fine grape wine from jewel-encrusted golden goblets. Old Mongol veterans watched in disgust as their traditions were tossed aside for alien concepts. Rust began to dull their famous curved swords, while composite bows gathered dust in decorated armories. Despite amazing wealth, the administration became infected by deep corruption and bitter greed. Royal factions plotted against each other, using poison and treachery instead of honorable duels. The unified vision of Genghis Khan shattered into bitter rivalries among his spoiled grandchildren. They often fought among themselves, draining the treasury to fund endless and pointless civil conflicts. Religion, once a tool for control, divided the Khans as Buddhists, Muslims, and Christians clashed openly. Heavily taxed to fund such extravagance, common people began murmuring of open rebellion. Paper money lost its value from reckless printing, causing massive inflation across the entire realm. Merchants who once praised the peace found their wealth reduced to worthless scraps of paper by greedy lords. Natural disasters and famines struck the land, yet the rulers remained hidden within their luxury. Historians argue this profound disconnect from the people was the fatal mistake of their entire reign. If you were a mighty Khan in this situation, would you choose tradition or adopt the new culture? By embracing the settled lifestyle, they forfeited the high mobility, making them uniquely strong. Subject nations began to realize their masters were no longer the invincible demons of the past. They were mortal men, vulnerable to flattery, luxury, and the secret blades of hired assassins. The integration holding the empire together had now become the very blade that cut its own throat. The Golden Horde, Ilkhanate, Chagatai, and Yuan dynasty grew increasingly distant and hostile. Fraternal bloodshed became the norm as cousins vanquished cousins to claim the title of the ultimate Khan. But as the empire tore itself apart from the inside, a far deadlier foe awoke in the shadows. A silent assassin that cared nothing for armies, titles, or the massive wealth of the Silk Road network. By the 1330s, the glorious Pax Mongolica unleashed a devastating global apocalypse. The highly efficient trade routes, designed to move goods swiftly, now became the perfect highways for disease. The bubonic plague, known infamously as the Black Death, hitchhiked on merchant caravans across the steppes. Infected fleas on black rats traveled in bags of grain and silk, invisibly striking down populations. The postal network transmitted the plague at equestrian speed, hitting urban centers without warning. Thriving markets turned into mass graveyards overnight, merchants collapsing in the mud among unsold goods. Deadly miasma choked cities, triggering a total collapse of agriculture, trade, and royal wealth. Mongol garrisons, once feared by all, found themselves powerless against an enemy they could not pierce or shoot. Armies were decimated in their camps, leaving borders unguarded and provinces in utter chaos. Rival warlords used the crisis to launch rebellions, tearing the remaining fragments of the realm apart. Desperate for control, factions employed brutal tactics, quickly accelerating their collective doom. The Ilkhanate in Persia crumbled first, fracturing into petty kingdoms as the royal line died out. The Golden Horde suffered massive casualties, losing their tight grip on the subjugated Rus princes. The Chagatai Khanate split in two, consumed by bitter religious and territorial wars. In China, the Yuan dynasty faced the most violent backlash from millions of oppressed, starving peasants. Tax revenues dried up, forcing courts to seize whatever grain remained from the totally desperate poor. Ruthless abuse and deadly floods triggered a massive wave of apocalyptic anger everywhere. Secret societies formed in the dark, spreading prophecies that the heavenly mandate had left the Khans. The Khans forgot the famous warning: you can conquer from a horse, but you can never truly rule from it. Their adaptation of settled cultures now provided the natives with the ultimate weapons of war. Disenfranchised Chinese generals joined the rebel ranks, bringing advanced tactics to the peasant mobs. The terrifying Mongol cavalry proved helpless against guerrilla warfare and urban defenses. Horsehair banners that once struck fear into the hearts of kings now burned readily in muddy, crimson trenches. Trust among Mongol elites vaporized entirely. Paranoia drove courts apart as unrest grew. A unified response was completely impossible due to massive geographic separation. The empire expanded beyond the bounds of logistical control and effective communication. Drowning in plague, uprisings, and internal strife, the foundation of their global hegemony snapped. The great beasts of the steppes were now trapped within the very walls they had built to protect their wealth. By the 1360s, the universal Mongol dominion was merely a shattered, tragic memory. In China, the Red Turban Rebellion swept across the land, led by desperate peasants seeking true justice. With primitive weapons and blazing torches, they marched unstoppably toward the glowing gates of Dadu. The alien rulers, who once terrified the globe, now trembled behind their magnificent palace walls. Togon Temur, the final Yuan emperor, watched in utter horror as his golden city was quickly breached. In a scene of poetic justice, the great hunters of history became the prey in their own grand mansions. The last Khan fled wildly into the dark, leaving behind mountains of treasure and a shattered legacy. He stumbled across ruined courts, abandoning burdensome silk robes to run back to the forgotten steppes. A phantom of Genghis Khan seemed to watch from above, mourning the tragic weakness of his descendants. The greatest land empire in history was not conquered by equals. It collapsed under its greedy weight. They conquered the entire world, but tragically failed to conquer their own desire for luxurious comfort. The great global unity was shattered, leaving a massive power void across the continent forever. Those who survived the fierce rebellions fled back to the windy plains, returning to their nomadic roots. The glorious Pax Mongolica vanished into dust, ending an amazing age of global trade. By conquering so many lands, they ironically lost the spirit that made them unstoppable. It is a tragic paradox. Ultimate power carries the fatal seeds of its very own destruction. But before their golden empire crumbled completely, the Mongol forces looked toward the Eastern Sea. They launched huge fleets to conquer a mysterious island nation, demanding absolute submission. However, the invincible warriors met a formidable defense they had never seen before. The brave native samurai warriors stood their ground, refusing to yield an inch of their sacred shores. But more terrifying than the swords was a sudden deadly storm brewing fast on the dark horizon. Giant waves crashed against the wooden Mongol ships, drowning thousands of soldiers in the freezing sea. The natives called this magical event the Divine Wind, protecting their homeland from total ruin. This epic storm, famously known as the kamikaze, shattered the myth of Mongol invincibility. For the first time, the great empire tasted a bitter defeat that it could never truly avenge. But what exactly happened during those chaotic coastal battles before the deadly storm hit? How did the outnumbered Japanese samurai hold off the most fearsome military force on Earth? We will dive deep into the epic story of Tsushima and the kamikaze in our next video. Their fall reveals one truth: pure military might alone can never build a permanent legacy. What do you think? Was their decline caused by luxury, or simply because the empire grew too big? Leave your thoughts below. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing historical tales.